It says preparing to live stream, but it might actually be going live now. So get yourselves ready. Just start waiting. Done.
Are we live?
We live? Okay. Hi, I'm Jerry Ewing. I'm the editor of Prog magazine. I have to say, absolutely delighted to be joining you tonight at the Marillion Couch Convention. I'll be chatting with the Marillion boys, so you can see on the screen. Before we start, I just want to alert you to the tip jar that Marillion have got going to pay. The guys obviously are giving their time for free, but there is the crew who've been working on this. So we'd appreciate it if you could perhaps donate some money. There's a tip jar. If you have PayPal, tipjar@marillion.com. We'll reminding you of that again later on. Tipjar@marillion.com. But go on, put your hands in your pockets and give something to the hard-working Marillion crew. Right, lovely to see you, gents. How are we all?
Very well.
Excellent.
Very well. Yeah.
Great stuff. This is fantastic. This couch convention seems to be going down an absolute storm. I've been sort of dipping in and out over the weekend and watching the reaction on social media, and you really seem to have a bit like the weekends themselves. You sort of seem to have sort of latched onto something again here that fans really enjoying.
Well, after the year we've had and everybody had this enforced separation and inability to go to gigs, I think everybody was ready for it, and there's been a real outpouring of enthusiasm. So, it's fantastic.
I mean, the whole weekends idea really sort of took off in a sort of similar way. I mean, it's obviously, as you say, this time round we've got people who obviously can't go out to functions like that, and again, I mean, I can't think of any other band that's sort of done something like this. There's plenty of people who've done bits and pieces, because of coronavirus and stuff, but this is very unique, and it's again, Marillion are a unique band. You seem to have tapped into something again, haven't you?
Yeah. It's been great, actually. The support's been amazing from the fans. So
I like having the atmosphere of the weekends without us actually playing. It's all the other stuff that's going on that's really, really fun and interesting for us to see. Like you said, the social media stuff, when the films are playing, the comments from everybody and how much everybody's enjoying it, and knowing that everybody else is joining in at home. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's a really positive last thing, night really. when they with the F.E.A.R stuff, I mean, people were dressing up as if they were actually going to the Albert Hall for a gig, and that was just hilarious. I mean, just unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, awesome people.
So, I mean, how did you guys sort of find the whole lockdown thing? Was it a laborious process for you, or did you find it? Well, it was weird. I think we'll all agree that. What did you guys get up to?
Well, we were quite lucky in terms of having already planned to have a year without any gigs. So it didn't really affect us in that sense. But we had to, obviously, when we decided to lock down earlier than the government decided. And we just had to think of working in a different way. So we use the internet a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was important for me to start shielding as soon as possible, really, with my sort of health issues and my weight. And the band were very supportive of that. So, yeah, I mean, we've started working together again, and it's really good. It's really good to be all in the same room and, the magic happening again, really.
We tend to be at opposite corners of quite a large room in the studio anyway. We work in headphones, so we don't have to get in each other's spaces much while we're working.
Although we do.
And as Pete said, we were just really fortunate that we didn't have a ton of live work booked in for this year, because then we would have really felt it, as I know a lot of bands have. It was just fortunate that we kind of budgeted. We'd saved up, Jerry. We'd saved up for a year in the studio, and so when this happened, you know, whilst it could have unhinged a lot, you know, a lot of bands, we've kind of ridden through it financially. I mean, you know, in mentally, there's always that shadow, isn't there, at the back of your head? What the hell's going on, and when is this going to end? And you know, when will there be a vaccine? And when's rock and roll going to be able to exist again as we know it? So you've always got that kind of dark, grim reaper kind of feeling hovering around in the background. We just got to hope that it's resolved at some point next year, and we can get back out on the road and, you know, do what we're here to do. Really.
Yeah, as you say, perhaps for Marillion, fortuitous timing that, you know, you didn't have an album about to drop or booked, as you say. I mean, you know, obviously Prog Magazine's kept going throughout the whole process. Just, you know, differences, we're now working from home. But I really personally sort of felt for some of the bands, you know, who put albums out here in that period, because, and then they haven't got that. We're in this sort of limbo period, aren't we, where they don't know if they can tour, you know, and they want to support the record, but they can't. You guys, kind of, your timing was was pretty good. You know.
I know. It's almost a first for us. Such good time.
No, we've dodged a few bullets, really. I mean, yeah, as you say, I really feel for some of these bands, especially, you know, young bands or young artists that have probably just got a deal, or they're just building up some momentum in their career, and suddenly it's just stopped dead. I mean, it's just tragic, really.
We did have, actually, we had Cruise to the Edge booked for April of this year.
Yeah, we did.
That obviously got postponed, and it looks like it's going to happen. Is it next year, next April?
2022.
2022. Oh, that makes more sense. So hopefully that will happen, and we'll be able to take part in that. So, but yeah, we were very lucky. It's the crew you mentioned about the Chip Jar earlier. The thing is, our crew, obviously, when they're not working for us, they had other tours planned this year, and all that's gone out the window. So this Tip Jar thing is really to try and help them get through a dodgy period. It's the same for all road crews, lighting crews, you know, PA crews. It's a really tough time, as you know. So thanks to everybody who put some cash in the old Tip Jar. It's really appreciated.
Yeah, the support for that has been great, actually, so far. So thank you all.
So just remind people watching, there's a tip jar for Marillion's hardworking crew. If you'd like to donate it, you can do it through PayPal. It's tipjar@marillion.com. Go and stick your hands in your pocket and give a couple of quid for Marillion's hardworking road crew. Go on. So you're back in the studio. It must be a kind of relief in a way that you can get back to doing what you do best.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, it's been many months when we haven't been able to work together, and I think, you know, the band have worked without me for a few weeks, and Mike Hunt is still working on the album even when we're not sort of in the room with him. So he's pretty relentless in what he's doing. But yeah, you kind of feel like some of the things will only move forward if the five of us are doing what we do, really.
Absolutely. It's been like, I mean, I really miss, you know, playing with other people. That's what I really get out of being in a band, and like all of us. And you just really miss being able to bounce ideas off, even things that you just don't even think about. It's just so much easier when you're in a room together.
We've actually got this whole...
I mean, apart from the music, I've just really, you know, I enjoyed the five of us being in the studio, just taking the piss out of each other, really, if I'm honest. You know, that's what I've missed.
I never noticed that. It must be happening when I'm out of the room.
Oh, we talk about you all the time when you're out of the room.
Well, more than when you're in the room, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Just goes over my head.
Obviously, the fans are going to be really keen to know about the new album. What stage is it at? Would you like?
Well,
yeah.
Because of the way we write, we're never really sure, to be honest, which is why we often make really long albums or double albums, because we think we haven't got anything, and then we get to a point in it where we suddenly realize we've got miles too much. And I think we're at the kind of don't think we've got anything stage at the moment, whereas the truth is probably that we're not that far off having miles too much. So we're at I know that seems like a really odd answer, but it's actually quite truthful. We write by jamming, and we're at the stage now where we've got so many interesting ideas that came out of the jams, many of which we've already worked on a little bit, either with or without Steve. And we've moved them forward, but we've probably worked on, I don't know, 12 to 15 ideas already. And if I'm honest, I've forgotten 14 of them. So yeah. I think when we come to actually return to it and look at what we've actually got and what we've done, we'll probably be quite shocked that we've got quite a lot, and we might end up at the, oh my God, we've got too much stage. Then we just have to discipline ourselves not to put all of it on the album and just try and find what we consider to be the cream of it, and don't let any of the reserve team on the pitch.
We've got this sort of system now where we start off with the unfocused jams, which is basically anything goes, anybody plays whatever they like, and we end up with, you know, hundreds of ideas, of which then we select the ones that we like the best, and then we have the focused jams where we're actually starting off with something that we know roughly how it goes, and we jam around it and see where it takes us. So, you know, we're sort of at the end of that stage now, and then there's lots of editing goes on and trying different things, you know, different chord changes and all the rest of it, and then we review it. Mike does a lot of the reviewing, to be honest. He's the one that comes to us and says, you know, what about this? I think this really works, or, you know, so it's sort of arranging with jamming. We're at the stage now, so it's
right. So I think possibly at one point we might be possibly mentioned in the magazine. We thought the album might be out this year. Obviously, that's not going to happen. Do you envisage it coming out next year? Do you think? I mean, obviously, because it's thrown such a curveball at everything. Yeah.
I think it's extremely likely, as long as we all stay healthy, nobody runs into a cement truck or has any other unfortunate incident.
Or illnesses. Yeah.
You know, we're living in a weird time. So, but provided we all stay healthy and in one piece, I couldn't imagine it not being out next year.
And of course, fingers crossed, you hope that you'll be able to also take it out on the road at that point as well. You know, that maybe we've got a vaccine, or, you know, they've come up with a workaround for live performances.
That would be good.
We've got a tour tentatively booked for next autumn. Is that right? Am I on the right year?
We have. Yeah.
We've got the UK Marillion weekend at Leicester de Montfort Hall in April next year, and then back half of next year we've got a tour.
Well, you know, fingers crossed, as Pete said earlier, that, you know, this time you really have got your timing spot on.
Well, let's hope so.
Well, we just got to hope it can happen then. Obviously it's all under review as this beast kind of comes and goes.
Exactly. I mean, it's not just obviously Marillion that you some of you have been busy on. Mark, if we just move over to talk about Mark Kelly's marathon.
Well, yeah. So when we did this break for having, you know, the few months when we weren't actually going to do anything together, and we were meant to be doing the jamming, so we couldn't do it at home. I'd actually started working on a solo project last summer. Did some demos, and the plan was to go in the studio with the band. I had 5 guys that I'd found various ways, and I said to them one day, why don't we just record it at home? Why don't we just, you know, Henry Rogers, the drummer, has got his own studio, which Pete's worked with him before. And I've known Henry for a number of years from the DXPus days when I did an album with Andy Ditchfield. Since he's got his own studio, we said, okay, if we can record the drums at home, everybody else can easily do their parts. And so it was a case of just getting on with it. And we finished the album, and it's coming out in November. So
fortunately, I've been privy to a couple of tracks, so I've loved what I've heard so far. And we shared the video for Amelia, which is the first single, I believe. That premiered last night with you guys. We shared it on the Prog Fate website. to this afternoon. It's getting a big thumbs up from the readers.
Very good, thank you.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Steve Rothery, you've got a solo album in the pipeline as well, haven't you?
Yes, my album Reverend Toulay, my space-themed instrumental album. Got one track finished, and a second track virtually finished, and about 3 or 4 kind of half finished. So my original plan was to launch a crowdfunding campaign for it at the end of this month, but I'm going to put that off a few months. The whole thing with the pandemic, like you say, a lot of the music business is closed down, and I'd probably rather delay the release of my album until sometime next year.
Right.
Just sometime that doesn't clash with the Marillion release, really. But I just want it when it comes out to be able to do some promotion and give it some sort of profile.
And it's space themed. What was the reasoning behind that? I saw the. I know you did the live chat with the Space Rocks guys. Which is great.
Yeah, no, it's always been a fascination of mine. I'm a huge sci-fi fan as well. And I was fortunate enough to go down to the ESO observatories in northern Chile a few times, and it just seemed like an obvious choice for me. I love a lot of film soundtrack stuff, like the Blade Runner soundtrack by Vangelis. So I wanted to do something in that sort of area. It's maybe more like that maybe than another band record. I'll do another band record as well at some point, but this is a separate thing.
Right. Okay. In fact, I think you were actually at one of the observatories in Chile when I interviewed you for the script reissue.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Probably at F.E.A.R now, I think.
Yes. Now, Pete, I know you can't say too much, but there is.
Can't say too much.
Romantic album in the offing.
There is. Yeah, we did some recording last year in Sweden, but it ended up mainly being writing and sort of just getting demo material together. And we all ended up recording that at home late last year, early this year. And it is currently being mixed in America. So it will be out at some point when it makes sense.
Good to hear. So it's great. I mean, obviously, like I said, we've talked about the lockdown thing. It did throw everyone a curveball, but it sounds like you guys have been incredibly busy regardless, which is good to hear. Right, we're getting a bit of fun now. I spent the afternoon going through the lyrics of pretty much every Marillion album from season's end on. So I've got, and I'm going to prove that this isn't fixed in any way. Looking at my screen, I've got Mark, Steve Rothery, Pete, Steve Hogarth, and Ian. That's how I'm seeing this. I don't know how everyone's seeing it at home. So I'm going to start with Mark. I had no idea who was going to be where. I'm just going to go through this. I've got 3 lyrics each. I want to see how, see if you can place them. They're all random. Hey. So we'll start Mark.
Mark's very good with the words.
First up to you. Right, Mark. My body. Right, my body has gone, but my eyes remain.
Invisible Man.
Invisible Man. Well done. Oh, how years change, the things for which we strive, a better world or just a quiet life.
Oh my God. Oh God. I know it, but I can't.
I'll give it you, Dave. Oh, how years change, the things for which we strive, a better world or just a quiet life.
Sorry, I know it.
It was One Fine Day from This Strange End.
Yeah, of course it is.
And your third one. So, if you ever decide that you have to escape and travel the world.
After me.
After me, that's correct. It's 2 out of 3 for Mark. Mr. Rothery.
Oh, here we go. Yep.
In a warmer country where the sea meets the land, you may walk with your baby in the afternoon.
Yes. Wild Rose.
Fruit of the Wild Rose from Arachnophobia.
Well done.
Well done.
Okay. Your second one. I will stare from the window at the shapes in the rain as the space between us drives me insane.
Beyond You.
Yeah.
2 out of 2.
I had no idea you'd been listening to these, Steve. I'm knocked out.
Well, I get bored, Steve. I've got to.
Okay, your third and final one. And the pain was like a tree, fern in the dark, damp, forgotten places. Darkness didn't stop her growing.
Oh,
Do you want that again?
yeah, go on.
Okay. And the pain was like a tree fern in the dark, damp, forgotten places. Darkness didn't stop her growing.
No, I kind of half know it, but no.
That's the wound from somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's 2 for Steve.
Mr. Truavis. 2. Right.
I know all of these lyrics. So
When
I
you look
should be
into the
fine.
mirror, do you
Just
see
not
a
in the
face?
order. Yeah.
Yeah. When you look into the mirror, do you see a face you hardly recognize? Yeah, well, you should know these,
I
Steve.
should know this.
Yeah. I'm tempted to say Accidental Man, but I don't know that it is.
I'll give it to you again. When you look into the mirror, do you see a face you hardly recognize?
Yeah. No, it's not going to come to me. I do know it, but I can't.
Paper Lies from Brain.
Yeah, of course
Oh,
it is. Damn. Yeah.
You can only draw with Steve and Mark now.
Right.
Or not.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. We need to talk about the wedding cake and the wetsuit. We need to talk about the policeman down the hall.
Down, down. Da. What's it called?
Gonna have to hurry you.
We need to talk.
No
I know
pressure.
the song. I can't think of the title. Oh my god.
We need to talk about the wedding cake and the wetsuit. We need to talk about the policeman down the hall.
Whatever is wrong with you.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
whatever is wrong with you from Happiness is the Road.
Yeah.
Okay, your final one. And down there somewhere among the noise, the magazine dolls and the big money boys.
Down there somewhere among the noise, the magnet. It's off Brave, I think. I can't. I know. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, that was This Town from
This Town.
Holidays in
Of
Eden.
course it is. This town, yeah.
So
You knew
1
that
out of
one.
3.
You knew that, Pete. You just needed to.
Pressure. What
Yeah.
did it?
Right, Mr. Hogarth,
Oh,
over to
yeah.
you.
Don't ask
After
me
all-
what album they're on. God's sake. Right.
After all, there's nothing they appear to say. It's not a game. It's simply fear stops them being clear.
That's Invisible Ink.
It is Invisible Ink.
I've
From,
got no excuse if I get any of these wrong. Have I?
That is Invisible Ink from Sounds That Can't Be Made. Okay, number 2. But my mind's gone blind. I lost the right to argue somewhere down the line.
That's from Radiation, and it's Now She'll Never Know.
Yeah.
It is indeed Now She'll Never Know from Radiation. Okay, and your third and final one. I'm painting 40 different shades of green for all I'm worth on
Too
yesterday's.
easy.
That's easy.
Easy,
That was
easy.
more for me. That one.
That's White Paper from F.E.A.R.
It is indeed.
I knew that one.
Okay, 3 out of 3. Well, I kind of expect that, Steve, but
Yeah.
okay. Ian, you're 3.
I'll give you 3 drum rhythms now, Ian.
Yeah.
Bump, caca, bump, cacac.
Okay. Avoiding danger is no safer in the long run. The fearful fall foul of fate as often as the reckless.
Oh my god.
It's quite witty, those lyrics, aren't they?
No, not a clue. Sorry.
I'll give it one more time. Avoiding danger is no safer in the long run. The fearful fall foul of fate as often as the reckless.
Bit of a mouthful.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
is there a sax solo in it?
No,
Deserved.
Well, there might be.
no, it's not. There isn't. It's
there's one on the album.
It's the other one.
Okay.
One word
No.
title.
Okay. It's Rich from Marillion.
Ah!
Okay. He took her to a garden full of rain and silence.
Oh yeah.
Gosh.
The party.
Yay.
It is the
Ah.
party from Holidays in Eden. Right, and now this to tie with Mark and Steve. Downwards into the blue sky, re-entering the earth, comet's tail behind me, signalling a birth.
Oh, it's hard.
I had fun with these.
I was going to say.
Oh, this is.
I was really hoping you'd give me some that I have drum cues for. But
I know this one.
can I hear it? Give us a go, Jerry.
Yep. Downwards into the blue sky, re-entering the earth, comet's tail behind me, signalling a birth.
Can you sing it, Jerry?
We want people to watch this, not turn off.
Gone very quiet, isn't it?
Yeah.
The other half.
Yes.
It is
Oh.
the other half from
Oh,
somewhere
damn.
else.
Did you get
Jerry.
that? Oh, just-
I've
I'm
got
the
some
dunce of the
questions here
band.
out of your book.
It took Lucy a long time to write it down and show it to you, didn't it?
Well, congratulations,
I've
Mr.
got
Hogarth.
dogs,
As
I've got dogs
expected,
down here causing lots of trouble.
you
No,
won.
I would have been thoroughly ashamed if I hadn't won that round.
No,
All right,
Pete,
look,
Pete,
I
you
own
must
up
do
to that,
better.
right?
Oh, well.
Thank
do-
you.
Yeah, well, yeah. What can I say?
Good book,
Bass player,
Jerry.
innit?
Thank you very much, Ian. Thank you. Well done. So Steve top, Ian, Mark and Steve Rothery second. Pete must do better.
Yeah.
No,
Story of my life.
I'm
Do-
with Pete
we're
on
doing
that.
on baseline
Me and
tempo,
Pete are
aren't we?
level, really, Jerry. You know,
Yeah.
rhythm section and all that.
You know, with the lyrics, I mean, obviously you were so prescient, Steve, weren't you, on F.E.A.R? Didn't see this virus coming, mind, but you got a lot of stuff. Have you sort of taken that same approach again with the new record, or?
Well, no, I mean, I didn't even take an approach with the last one. I just sort of, I don't, I mean, writing for me is not a terribly front brain sort of a thing. It's more of a, it comes out of the oven of the subconscious suddenly around the front in little bursts, and I bang it down when it arrives for the most part. And I think with the last album, I just had a sense of foreboding the whole time I was writing it, and I was trying to put that into words. But it wasn't like I wouldn't say I saw this coming. I think F.E.A.R was very much written off the back of a sense of disillusionment, because although I'm not what you'd call a patriotic person, I'd always been quietly proud of being English, as I was growing up, just quietly, not flag waving, but I felt like that England was a country of fundamentally decent people, and that the system, although flawed, was essentially decent. And after Tony Blair invaded Iraq with the USA, I became utterly ashamed and disillusioned by that decision, and how it was decided on a lie, really. And I think that underlying sense of foreboding that's in F.E.A.R was a kind of a reaction to a kind of my own loss of innocence regarding my own country. And trying to come to terms with that, and trying to come to terms with being British, because it suddenly meant something else to me, I can't recover from it. So that was where F.E.A.R kind of came from, if it came from anywhere. The next one, I just don't know. I've written so many words for this one. And at this stage, I've no idea which of them we'll use, because it depends which musical ideas they're married to.
Yeah.
So I may have words that I feel are my strongest lyrics that won't get used on this album, because they just don't really seem to fit with what we've arrived at. and then I'll have other words which I don't think are my strongest that kind of definitely will get used, and then I'll have to frantically try and improve them during the process and try and make them a bit smarter than they are. So we'll see where it goes. As for a direction, I'll be able to tell you further into the process.
I mean, the thing about, I think, F.E.A.R is because it really encapsulated exactly what you just sort of talked about so strongly, and yet that whole thing is still very dominant and is moving the world in specific ways. Was it difficult to sort of tear yourself away from that, because it's all still around us, that whole thing, isn't it?
Well, I was watching the Albert Hall show last night, which I don't. I very rarely listen to what we've done or watch what we've done, but this couch convention weekend has been all about that. And looking at the Albert Hall and some of the slogans, I guess, that were going up on the screen, why is nothing ever true?
Yeah.
Kind of encapsulates where we've arrived.
Very much. I remember the gig. I remember the gig and seeing
Boris Johnson, Donald Trump. They're all lying for a living.
Yeah.
We're supposed to swallow it now, and the consequence of that is that everyone ends up believing nothing, and they can no longer believe truth when they hear it. And that's a terrible price to pay. So I mean, one thing happened last night watching the Albert Hall. It really knocked me backwards. I remember getting to that point in the New Kings where that horn line happens, and the Spitfire goes by.
Yeah.
And I was just about to sing, "Remember a time when you thought that you mattered," believed in the school song, "Die for your country," And I suddenly realized where I was and what I was about to scream in that hallowed home of Land of Hope and Glory and the last night of the proms and everything. And I really had a complete, what a place to say these words. And it kind of knocked me sideways just for a fraction of a second. My whole world spun on its axis, wobbled a bit. That was quite a moment.
Let's talk about the Albert Hall. You're almost veterans now, the Albert Hall.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I could go back tomorrow.
I've been fortunate, and I'm sure a lot of the people watching this have been fortunate enough to see a couple of excellent Marillion shows there. You must be delighted. I mean, it seems like you've been riding a very, very big wave since really Sounds That Not Be Made came out, and you still kind of haven't come down. It's been terrific, and you sort of just watching the way that the band sort of took off again and got bigger, and then with F.E.A.R, obviously it was such a huge reaction, and then you're on stage at the Albert Hall. You must be delighted with the way things have gone.
Yeah, there were moments in those Albert Hall shows where I had to pinch myself. It was just so beautiful, and it was such a feeling of vindication, of kind of honest success, and yet love and affection coming off the people all at once, and all those three things whizzing around at once in your spirit, just totally intoxicating. So we're very fortunate that we're in this place. We've just not got to fuck it up now.
Yeah. Exactly.
It was very, very special. It really was special.
As a fan sat in the audience, I think there are a couple of standout moments for me. The first time you played, the lights we got given, the way it lit up the auditorium was.
That was amazing.
Oh, God, it's just. Yeah.
And then, as you mentioned, it was the reaction you got back the second time I saw you there from the fans was just overwhelming. I mean, it was real hairs on the back of your head. I mean, I was in the audience, and you could almost physically feel the love everyone in that room had for the band. And as you say, you kind of felt that on stage.
Oh,
yeah, I think, I'm sorry to go on, but I think that a lot of bands, if they're lucky, they walk out onto a stage to a big noise and a lot of excitement and a lot of enthusiasm and maybe even a lot of faith. But we walk out onto a stage to affection, to raw, massive affection, and that's an unreal thing to have. You know, I don't know who else has got that, but if they've got it, I hope they've realised they've got it and value it for what it is, because it's a wonderful thing to be on the receiving end of.
It's that special bond between the band and their fans that you've got that can make something like that convention such a success.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'll just remind everyone again of the tip jar while we're at it. Obviously, like I said, the guys are giving their time for free, but there's crew that have had to work to put this together. We all know through what's happened with coronavirus that, you know, vast swathes of the music industry just don't have a job at the moment because there's nothing for them to do, and we're waiting on the outcome. So stick some money in and donate to the crew. You can pay it by PayPal, tipjar@marillion.com. So there you go. Well, I think we're getting near to the point where I've got to wrap this up. So I think it was Lucy actually that kicked this off when she said, "I'll ask them some silly questions like what's their favourite cheese," and I think I mentioned that in the little video clip I had to do for Lucy. So, Mark, your favourite cheese?
Manchego.
Steve
Oh,
Roderick.
good choice.
Excuse me.
Yeah. a nice Stilton, actually.
Pete Travers.
Well, I was going to say Stilton, but my other favourite cheese would be an Emmental. I do like an Emmental. Slightly nutty, not slightly unusual, you know.
Bit like you.
Thank you, Mark.
Favourite cheese.
Boom, boom.
Steve Hogarth, your favourite cheese?
Oh, Dairy Lee, every time, man.
Laughing cow.
Philadelphia. Yeah.
It's getting the corners. It's done peeling the corners, isn't it? That's murder. That is. There's always
don't they have the little red thing that you can pull to?
Yeah, but there's always a bit of packet left on the cheese.
Yeah.
You get a bit of foil in your teeth. It's murder. Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't eat it.
No
I
hope,
make models with it.
I like that mad cow. No, laughing cow. Or Dairy Lee on a Rivita with some Marmite on it.
Or you know how to live, don't you, Ian?
Yeah.
If I'm serious, you know, about
Mature.
then I'm just a mature cheddar. That's for me.
Right.
I'm a Leerdammer man myself.
That's
Oh,
nice.
yeah. Got a little dammer.
Leerdammer's not bad. Yeah.
Thinly sliced.
Compton's good.
So what's sort of next for you guys? Is it just carrying on working on the album, I guess, and obviously Mark's got Mark Kelly's marathon is out November 29th, is it?
Yeah,
Mark?
November 29th. Pre-order it from our website, from the Marillion website.
There's a pre-order link on the prog news story that we ran this afternoon as well. So.
Thanks for that.
We're back in the studio tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as we get back from Holland. Haha.
Are you in Holland?
No, I'm not in Holland.
Did any of you guys sort of? I mean, lockdown gave some people the chance to, gave them time. I think where they didn't have it and things like that. I got back out on my bike, got back in love with cycling again. Did any of you guys try your hand at any new hobbies, or what was occupying your time when you had it on your hands?
Podcasting.
Oh, of course, yes. You've got the.
I learned to talk.
Tell us, Steve. Tell us about the coronavirus.
A unique talent.
No, there's nothing much to say. This mate of mine who used to sell Shure microphones, called Ant Short, phoned me up one day and he said, "Do you do a podcast?" I said, "What's one of them?" And he said, "Well, you just talk and talk rubbish." And I said, "Oh, sounds great. Set it up and I'll do it." So he sorted out the technology, and we just we do one every week. It's called the Corona Diaries. It's on all the platforms. It's quite a good laugh, and that's that's kind of what I've been doing as an alternative to getting fit during the lockdown.
So how do people listen to it? I mean, is it on Spotify and iTunes and all?
It is, yeah. I mean, I think it's had about 50,000 downloads so far. Not one episode, but across the episodes. You can subscribe to it as well. I've got subscribers helping to pay for the costs of production, and it's just a good laugh. And there's if you subscribe, then you can send messages and all of that. And so I've got a bit of a dialogue going on with the hardcore fans too.
So what sort of thing? What's the sort of subject matter?
Oh, whatever enters my head. From one day to the next. Anthony's asked me a lot about some of my old bands. He asked about the Europeans. He asked about how we live and how that came together. Studios we worked in, just experiences that I've had. I also read from my diaries.
Yeah.
During the podcast, there's a little sort of 10-15 minute interlude where I read from the diaries, The Invisible Man, that published interesting things that have happened over the years, getting arrested, passing out, going to a hospital, that kind of thing.
Well, I think my favourite story from your diaries is the one, I think, when you told on stage in Malta about the very long flight.
Oh, the Cat Stevens one?
Yes.
Oh, my God. Yeah. That must have taken up most of the show.
The best bit about that flight was I wasn't on it. That was so funny.
Yeah, he was on the flight the next day.
I flew a day later, and I think it was Mexico we were going to, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Mexico.
And I arrived at the hotel to check in, and they walked in the door just behind me.
And yet they'd flown out the day before, hadn't they? Always...
Yeah, it was hellish.
It was.
It was.
So that's Steve's been podcasting. Anyone else been up to anything unusual?
Just trying to get healthy, really. Losing lots of weight.
Yeah.
Lost nearly going on for 4 stone now. It's lockdown.
What's your secret, Steve? I need that.
Just lots of exercise, eating healthily, and yeah.
To be honest, I have been reading blogs.
He doesn't drink his own cocktails. That's what it is.
Yeah. I don't drink my own cocktails. That's a good plan. But yeah, intermittent fasting helps. But yeah, and it's good actually writing about it. I had a lot of messages and lots of comments on Facebook that, people like to feel encouraged and so I do what I can, I think, to try and show people that it's possible, even after struggling with my weight for so many years, to take the positives out of lockdown. And
it's great that people get on board and they get encouraged. I mean, I had a few messages from people this morning saying that, they hadn't done any exercise for ages. I did the fun run, and they're saying I got out and did something for the first time in 6 months or a year or whatever. So good stuff.
But yes, honestly, I've seriously found
your from hospital, Jerry. They call him from hospital.
So yeah, the blogs actually have been really, really interesting, I have to say.
Oh, cheers, thanks. Yeah, I'm going to do another one pretty soon.
Excellent, that's good. Ian, what have you been up to?
Well, not a great deal. Lots of dog walking. I got a call from one of my old bosses a couple of weeks back, Gordon Giltrap, the guitarist.
Oh, yeah.
And he asked me if I'd play on a track for him. So I kind of agreed, because I like Gordon. He's quite unique. And then he asked me how much I wanted to do it, which was nice. So I said I'd do it for food. Box of chocolate biscuits. So that's how bad things are here.
There was a huge box of chocolate biscuits turned up at the studio. I ate most of them.
Yeah, Mark ate most of them, but he runs a lot, so you can burn it off. Lucy just passed me this.
Oh yeah.
Now, so I mean, I bought your book, Jerry. Did you buy this then?
I'll be honest and say I had a copy sent to me.
How's your leg?
The leg is
is
fine. Obviously that's something that a lot of people watching this won't know anything about. I broke my leg last year, having just completed. I do a thing called the Heavy Metal Truants, which is a charity bike ride. Actually, we should try and get one of you guys to join us next year, where we cycle from Alexandra Palace in London to Download Festival in 2.5 days, about 190 miles. It's challenging. We raise we're closing in on £1 million.
Wow,
That's good.
In terms of money raised over. We've been doing it for, I think, actually this year would have been the 8th. We did it virtually, so everyone around the world could join in and just logging their cycling on Strava. But next year, obviously, we're hoping that we're actually back in the saddle and on the roads together as a group. And having just completed that last year, the day after, I broke my leg. So that's what Ian was referring to there. And actually, it was during that time while I was recuperating that I think I interviewed most of the guys for the Script for Jesters Here booklet. With the reissue. So, but yes, thank you, Ian. The leg is fine. I'm actually up to about 200 miles a month on the bike.
Oh, well done. No,
that's good. That's good.
But it is weird. I can tell you when it's going to rain.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I can tell you when it's going to rain, and your leg, it hurts for no reason, no seeming reason. You'll be walking down the street, and all of a sudden you'll limp, and then like a minute later it'll have gone, and it's just sort of, you know, what did that happen? But I guess it's all part of the recovery process. So, yeah.
Oh, we've got a film coming out of the Cardiff show, by the way.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Right.
That should be a good thing.
And what's it called?
Oh shit! Here we go.
With the friends from the orchestra.
3 Minute Boil.
No, it's
something from Cardiff or something or other.
it's with friends at St David's.
That's the one.
Right. Okay. And when's that coming out?
Who the hell knows?
I think it's November.
Yes.
Hang on a minute, I'm just
Thanks, Lucy.
I'm getting to November. Yeah.
I hope it doesn't clash with my album.
We are rubbish, aren't we? There you are.
Yeah, let's not all speak at once.
Now, I think coming up in 10 minutes, it was Brave, got the concert film of Brave. What do you guys remember about that album?
Yeah, it was a long time.
Going to France to
going to the chateau to record.
the Chateau Marat in France to record it and coming away with the drums. We had 2 months in France to record it. We came back and then did another 5 months at Parr Street in Liverpool.
Yeah.
I think I did the drums in, I don't know how many weeks, a few weeks, and then I was living in America at the time. I went back to America, and after about a month, I thought, I wonder how the guys are. And they'd gone to Parr Street Studios, and they said, yeah, we've just, or just before Parr Street, they said, yeah, we've just finished the basses. What?
Yeah, it took a while.
What was it that made it sort of string out for so long?
It was one of the earliest times that we really got into the whole jamming thing. But of course, in those days, everything was done on tape. So you couldn't do the sort of editing you can do now. And Dave Meagan, our producer, was meticulous in trying to keep every little thing that was good about it. And it just took a long time. He did spend a lot of time hunched over a tape machine, didn't he?
Yeah,
he did.
Addicted to lockets.
He was, yeah.
No, he's a brilliant producer, Dave. But he's only got one speed, really.
It was. I mean, it was a very long album as well. So long albums take longer to record than short ones.
Yeah, it was about 72 minutes long, so it's not surprising it took us a while.
Yeah.
But it was.
I'll go with that. We'll go with that then, Mark.
There was a slight illusion with Brave. It's a bit like Apocalypse Now or something. But that we ended up delivering Brave, I think, very early in the autumn or mid-autumn. And the major labels tend to have a policy of not releasing anything towards the end of the year.
From October on, it's the Christmas run.
It ended up going into February, which gave everyone the illusion that we'd been working on it for about 7 months longer than we were really working on it. And so it became this legend that it had taken forever. And it certainly wasn't quick, but it didn't take quite as long as everybody, even the record label, thought it had taken longer than it had taken, you know.
These 7 months to record an album was luxury. We'd be patting ourselves on the back at how fast we were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need 3 months off to get over that now.
Obviously, I mean, you look at that in the Marillion body of work. It came on the back of Holidays in Eden, which was featured for you, sort of shorter, punchier material. You kind of went completely opposite direction with Brave. It's one of my favourite Marillion albums of all time. It's a great listen. You really invest yourself in that album.
It's got its own darkness, hasn't it? It's sort of redolent with darkness and ghosts, really. That Dave Meegan somehow managed to capture. You know, there was enough ghosts in Marowat, and he managed to record them somehow when nobody was looking, because the darkness is in it somehow, and in that sense, it's a unique piece of work.
It's definitely one of those albums that's greater than the sum of the parts. If you take the individual sections on their own, they're somehow nowhere near as good as when you put the whole thing together and listen to it as a complete piece, you know?
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Great Escape is probably one of the best tracks we've ever done.
That's true.
That's true, yeah.
But it's, as I said, it's something you could, as a listener, you can really invest time in. You know, there's a long... Inspired just by you, was it you heard a radio broadcast about a girl found wandering on the Severn Bridge, wasn't it, Steve?
Yeah, many years earlier, at about 1985 or something, I was in Crescent Studios down in Bath working on the How We Live album, and David Lord, the producer, had got the radio on, and the radio station was said, "Oh, we'd like to read out an appeal from the constabulary." They found a girl wandering on the Severn Bridge, and she's either unable or unwilling to speak to the police. And they described her, you know, her red hair, 5'3" or whatever, approximate age. If anybody out there recognises the description, could they contact us? And that was all it was, really. But it just struck me as an amazing opening. For a mystery, you know, it's a novel, isn't it? So I scribbled it down and forgot all about it, really, until we were working on Brave, almost 10 years later. And we'd got 3 songs. We'd got, John Helmer had sent us a lyric called Runaway, about someone running away from home. And we'd got a song called Living with the Big Lie. And we had another one as well.
Hard as Love.
Hard as Love, exactly. And those 3 together just sort of set me back wondering about this girl on the bridge all those years ago. And so then I went to the band. I said, I told them the story. I said, what if we were to try and make a record that referenced this somehow and tied all these strands together? And that became that's how it then ran from there. So from that point onwards, it kind of had an underlying concept that we were writing towards, which is quite rare for us. But it was a concept rooted in something real rather than fantasy.
Did you ever find out what had happened?
Yeah, her parents came and picked her up. I think she was from down in West Country, Devon or somewhere. I think she was quite a fragile character, psychologically, and naturally enough, they didn't want anyone else. They didn't really want to talk to the press. They didn't want it going any further, and so it sort of drew to a close there. I think I've got a couple of newspaper cuttings.
Until you put a record out about it.
Yeah, I sincerely apologise to her and her family if it caused any further distress. That was
But,
never the
I mean,
intention.
the other thing about Brave, of course, again, which is unique from Marillion, is that obviously it had a film attached to it in a way, didn't it?
It had a mad film, yeah.
Yeah, very
Richard Stanley directed this mad little movie that was his interpretation of, it was basically what the music was saying to him.
Yeah.
So didn't really have, we weren't steering that at all. We just let him run with it because we knew he was a bit of an interesting artist, and
I say
that something fairly curious might come out of it, and it sure did.
Yeah, that's a very dark watch as well. I mean, I've got to be honest, I've always enjoyed it because I'm big. I feel it works well with the album, and and because it was quite an intriguing story, the whole thing behind it. I've always enjoyed that. But then again, as you say, an interesting character. Have you guys ever seen the documentary about the making of the Island of Dr. Moreau?
He did, yeah. He did that after the Brave movie. I heard about him being fired from the job as director and turning up on set in disguise afterwards, hanging around. And
it's a fascinating watch. It's one of Marlon Brando's last films.
Yeah.
But yeah, the documentary is a lot better than the film itself.
Oh, I'd like to see that. But yeah, Richard Stanley.
Readily available on Amazon Prime or Netflix or one of those.
Richard never stopped smiling. He was smiling all the time when he met you. He used to look at you like that and he'd smile constantly. Hello, I'm very pleased to meet you. You're marvelous. Yabba dabba do.
He'd say, hot diggity dog a lot as well.
Hot diggity dog, yeah. he used to eye you up as though he was going to eat you all the time. He was a very disconcerting character.
So, right, I think it's about 3 minutes to 8, and I think Brave is airing at 8, so I'll draw this to a close.
Better get your makeup on, Steve. Sorry.
Well, I think an hour is probably enough of my waffling with the band for most fans. So I'd say, listen, guys, thanks very much for inviting me to take part. It's been a great chat. It's been a great weekend.
Oh, really?
Very much, Jerry.
Nice to see
thank you, Jerry.
Yeah.
Just remind everyone again of Tip Jar. If you want to donate to help the crew that have obviously worked on this, you can pay via PayPal. It's tipjar@marillion.com.
On behalf of the band, I'd like to thank our manager, Lucy Jordash, for making the Couch Convention happen. Couldn't have happened without her. It was her vision, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, and for helping Ian out
Big
with
respect.
his answers.
And for helping Ian with the lyric round.
There she is. I'm sure this will be among the nominations for Event of the Year at the Prog Awards next year.
Woo.
Okay,
After this T-shirt, I should bloody hope so as well.
I never got a T-shirt.
Lucy asked for 3.
Right. Well,
anyway, thanks very much, guys.
Cheers, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry.
See you all soon.
See you, man.
Thanks.
See you, everybody.